Okay, we're here with a video. We have the Adepticon that just came out here, or just started recently. It started on the 22nd, which started today or yesterday. The Lore Master of Sotek is joining us. Did it start today or yesterday?
Technically yesterday.
Okay, so technically yesterday, but there's plenty of awesome reveals that have come out in just 24 hours alone. So Lore Master Sotek and I are going to take you through a lovely journey of what the new Age of Sigmar reveals have been and what the new Warhammer 40,000 reveals have been. Sigmar is going to primarily be, or Sigmar, man, imagine if that was your name. Sotek is going to be leading us through the Age of Sigmar goodies because he actually plays it on the tabletop and he's slowly converting me to play it, especially with the reveals that have come out as of late. But let's start off with the new CCG, the new trading card game in the same vein as Magic the Gathering, the new Warhammer Age of Sigmar Champions. Sotek, thoughts, go.
Well, first of all, like we were talking about before the video started, it's interesting to see that Games Workshop is returning to a booster pack format instead of a... Well, first of all, Games Workshop is producing this game instead of Fantasy Flight Games or another company. Normally they hand these off and just sell their IP and stop worrying about it. Which sometimes has worked, sometimes haven't. But the last card game we had, for fantasy at least, was Warhammer Invasion, which was not a collectible card game. It was a, what'd you say it was? A locked card game?
Living card game. So you didn't buy boosters.
Right, you would go to the store and you'd be like, oh, I want the Lustria pack, which would come with like half of it was vampire counts, half of it was lizardmen, you're done. Right.
Nothing was randomized, everything was set in stone. Like you bought a pack, you got all the same cards, everyone played the same stuff, and you played against set scenarios. This is going to harken back to the old, and I believe it was actually done by Games Workshop themselves. It was the Warhammer Fantasy Warcry. They had the same single, I think it was Warhammer 40,000 Conquest, I think was the 40K equivalent. And we're talking like 10 years ago, like 6th edition fantasy, guys. So really 7th edition, 6th edition fantasy. So really, really, really far back. And so it's going to be great to see this. I know Sotek and I are pretty stoked on it. And I've played Magic the Gathering like a crack whore as it is. So time to throw...
If I could get a Seraphon army, I'll be so happy. But knowing my luck, there's not going to be any Seraphon cards.
Well, you can definitely see there's absolutely orcs. There's absolutely chaos. There's absolutely Stormcast. So we know we've got those off the bat. And
yeah, that's a Vandus card. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
So they have special characters.
Well, weren't the orcs, the Stormcast, and the Khorne people, or the World Eaters, basically, of Age of Sigmar, weren't they the 3 armies to first originally come out in the game?
Yeah. There was one army for each faction that came out really fast, which was Stormcast Eternals. Funny enough, Khorne was the first Chaos faction to come out, but he was almost the last one to get a book. Tzeentch got a book before Khorne did, but Khorne had models out. It was very weird. And then, of course, orcs had the Iron Jaws, which is that kind of orc. And then Death had the Flesh Eater Courts, which is the Ghoul King faction.
My favorite. Speaking of other cool reveals of the Age of Sigmar kind of variety, we'll move on to another favorite now of mine in the Sea Elves. What do you notice, Sotek? I know you play a lot of Age of Sigmar. I know you've been keeping up with the Sea Elves. What do you see here?
Yeah, so we've got the Idoneth Deepkin, who have been rumored for a really long time, and they're finally coming out. So what we know is not a ton about these guys. What we do know about them is that they were created. So when the world that was blew up, the Warhammer world, Slaanesh ate all the elves. But in the Age of Sigmar, a bunch of events happened that led to each of the elven gods, and Morathi, who's not a god but still got to participate, let each of them create their own races. So Teclis, Tyrion, Malekith, who's now known as Malarian, and Morathi each created their own kind.
Oh my god. I can't wait to see what Tyrion's elves are. The light elves or something.
They're supposed to, all we've heard about them is that they're angelic. So they're going to be interesting. I want to see Malarians. Anyway, so Teclis created these guys at first, and they're called the Idoneth Deepkin. But when he created them, something went wrong. And we don't know why exactly, but Teclis abandoned them as a failed project.
Very Frankenstein-esque.
So they were basically forced to retreat into the deep mists and the deep oceans to hide away. And we're not sure why they do it yet, but much in the sense that you would expect from Cthulhuist lore, which I'll let Tally talk about because he's more versed in that kind of stuff than I am.
Fucking right.
These guys, what they do is they come out of the mists and they find people and they take them and maybe kill them, but we know what they do for sure is they devour their souls. Like they take their souls with them back into the depths.
Perfect. So it's just like Shadows over Innsmouth.
Yeah, so they are technically an Order faction, but in Age of Sigmar, Order does not mean a good guy. Order means someone that is builds civilization and is opposed to chaos. And as you see, these guys are kind of fucked up. Like these basic troops we're looking at, they don't have eyes.
Yeah.
They don't have eyeballs. That's not a bad paint job. They legitimately don't have eyes. Some of them do, but many of them don't. So clearly they've been warped by something.
And the new video that came out, which we might roll after this video, you can see right here the new like riders that are basically like two on like these massive eels, like they have the shields and everything like that, and they basically have.
Oh yeah, those are the sharks. So there's an eel mount and a shark mount. So those are.
I see the shark mount, the dorsal and everything. Mounts. Oh, dude, that's disgusting. Like here, let's pop over to the next one. We have giant turtles are coming too. Eels, sharks, so giant turtles.
This looks very simple. So you can see the eels kind of in the corner,
right there,
and how their design is a little different. It looks like they likely share a kit with the sharks, if I had to guess.
Right.
Then you got this giant fucking turtle, who has really sharp teeth, and once again going pretty strong with the no eye motif. You'll notice a lot of these elves, like the guy in the very back, who looks like the leader of it. He's wearing a helmet where he can't see because he doesn't have eyes. So I'm not sure how they're really hitting this motif of these warped elves. But this thing it kind of reminds me of a stegodon if it could fly.
Oh, absolutely.
With the whole thing of that, it's a big monster with a howdah, and you can see it's got like bolt throwers and stuff mounted on it.
Right, here and here. It's interesting too because like they kind of almost take on this dark elf aesthetic, right? Like they even have like the symbol for the Deepkin is very reminiscent of some of the dark elf runes that we saw in 8th edition fantasy. Even these guys kind of look like some twisted form of Cold One Knights, and I really dig that kind of.
Oh yeah, and you know that's a good way to put it. In that it looks like it. If I had to guess, what it looks like Teclis tried to do is that he tried to bring back the elves as they were, and this was kind of the mess he accidentally made.
Yeah, you even look at these guys right here in the lower left corner. They almost look like, you know, Idoneth Deepkin executioners. You know, they have these big like curved blade / glaives.
You ever see those movies about like adventurers going down into deep caves and they run into the horrifying troglodytes? That's exactly what those dudes look like.
Dude, seriously. God, they're just, and the troglodytes are always like have some sort of weird like noise that they make to kind of sound other troglodytes like, yo, it's food time.
Oh, I bet they click.
Oh,
okay. This guy's got some interesting news about him so far.
Dude, Tyrion with a fin.
Yeah. So this is the special character, is what the rumor mill says, and he's got a lot going on. There's like fanged stingrays hanging around his base, a school of fish. It's a very busy model. It's gorgeous design.
Oh, yeah. Painting
that is going to be a task. Of course, with his fucking cloak turning into a tidal wave.
Seriously.
He's even got he's got an amazing toolkit.
And long,
so
luxurious
this guy
hair.
Yeah, apparently this fellow is the leader of the Idoneth, if the rumors are to be believed, and he is the avatar of Mothlan. So he is the, maybe not resurrected, but recreated version of the elf sea god from Warhammer Fantasy.
Which predominantly is worshipped by like people like, well, from 8th edition, like elves from Kothic would have worshipped Mothlan because they were predominantly sailors.
Yeah, and so would the Corsairs of the Dark Elves.
Correct. Yeah.
And Mothlan, he could be a cruel bastard. He wasn't super nice.
Yeah, he was not one of the Kadai, which was like, you know, like these are all the ambivalent and very nice gods. Mothlan, from what I recall, is more not even evil, but more of like a chaotic neutral.
Yeah, he's a son of the god of destruction, Ethanil. I think it's Ethanil. But there was like a god of destruction who had like 7 children, and Mothlan's one of them. Right.
They have like a whole weird thing going on with that. Like there's the god of sorceresses and stuff like that kind of like helps out like Mothlan and helps out where the one with the ring. Like, basically, there's a scenario where the one of the sorceresses tricks another god. I think it's their father, the god of destruction, and drops his ring to earth, and so finds the ring. I don't remember if it's Lokir or if it's Malekith who finds the ring, but Yeah, the Elf Pantheon in general is quite a shit show.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see, because with Morathi, for those of you who have kept up with Age of Sigmar, the Sisters of Slaughter, turns out even though Cain is, they're called the Daughters of Cain, Cain's not actually back. It's a lie. He's still dead. So I'm curious if Mothlan's going to be the same as well, if he's not what he appears to be.
Well, from what I recall with the lore, though, the gods were the former heroes of the world prior, right?
Yes, that
almost
was
like a
the case.
Matrix-esque thing.
Yeah, that was the case until, of course, this version of the End Times, where Lilith messed up the cycle.
Of course, why not?
So that's no longer applicable going into Age of Sigmar. It's a new, they scratched the board clean. And now we've got a different colored turtle.
Yeah, I know, seriously. Let's take a look here. It's very similar, but yeah, just different colors. Seems to be the same types of weapons on there. Different rider, so you can see some variations in the kit.
Yeah, you kind of get a better look at the interesting weapons they have, too. What are those?
They almost look like harpoon repeater bolt throwers.
They're funky looking.
Yeah, for sure. Let's jump on over to Shadespire, something I've actually never dabbled with at all. So I'm going to let you talk about Shadespire, because I don't know.
So Shadespire is Age of Sigmar's answer to Mordheim. It's basically the exact same thing, just with a slightly different rule set.
Oh, okay.
So we don't know. Yeah, so it's supposedly a very fun game, and the models for it are very high detail, because you can't just. It's not like Mordheim where you can just take whatever you want. You buy the set. You're like, oh, I'm going to buy the Stormcast Eternal set or the Khorne Bloodbound set, and you get all the guys, and some of them have names and some of them don't. But you basically buy the whole warband, put them together, and play them. And they're very gorgeous models, and it's a very different format that's more skirmishy. What these are is they're kind of not a lot known about them right now, other than we know that they're going to be cards that are going to augment the Shadespire game. So basically, you're going to have your Mordheim game, and this is going to build on top of it.
Okay. Well, I guess in that same vein, I'll check it over to the next picture here, next slide here, but this isn't relevant just yet. They are bringing back Kill Team, which is kind of like your Mordheim for Warhammer 40,000. So that's going to have a standalone release that's going to be coming with us. Also, we're going to be getting some goodies here, as you can see. A Codex Adeptus Astartes, Death Watch is coming out, Codex, a Codex for the Harlequin, and then another exciting Codex with the Codex with the Imperial Knights. And
I can't believe they're doing a Death Watch Codex.
I'm kind of stoked on Death Watch. Have always been one of my favorite.
It sounds awesome. Whenever someone says Death Watch, I just think of 5 guys stuffed into a thing with a bunch of gene stealers.
Oh yeah, dude. There's that one really good book. I think it's an Ultramarines book from one of the Ultramarine series, where basically it's one company of Ultramarines that are on a hive planet trying to defend against a Kraken splinter hive, or a splinter whatever the hell I'm trying to think of, and they're
Splinter Fleet.
Splinter Fleet, thank you. And they fight this huge fight, and there's a contingency of Death Watch with them, which we guys know is like pretty much one squad or so, and the captain that's leading this entire company was a former Death Watch member, because the Death Watch is not something you come into and you stay in. You can come and go. Like, you come into it, you're Death Watch for the term of service, the tour of duty, and you leave and you go back to your chapter.
So they're gonna have a really interesting book.
Oh yeah. So you see this one. This is this sleeve right here. This arm right there is indicative of the Inquisition. The Death Watch is part of the Ordo Xenos of the Inquisition, arm of the Inquisition, and the other arm should be typically the heraldry of their home chapter. So if it's an Ultramarine, it'll be the blue with the Ultima Sigma.
I have a strong feeling these 3 books are going to be very heavy on lore to make them fat enough because of how few units are in them.
Very true. And I mean, Death Watch is extremely important, especially with how much happened with, like, say, the Indominus Crusade, and what happened with the 8th edition Blood Angels, and how they were almost slaughtered to a man because of Tyranids. So Death Watch is probably going to play a heavy role in the future lore, and Harlequins
especially with the universe split in half.
Exactly. So it's like they're going to have to be balls deep in everything, and especially with the Harlequins too, who always kind of like dance back and forth between like the greater good. They're almost like the lizard man of Warhammer 40,000, because they're always trying to they're trying to push forward one agenda that no one really knows about. So the Harlequin are probably going to have a heavy hand in this, and the Imperial Knights too. So with the Imperial Knights Codex, we're going to get a new Imperial Knights model. So there's not a ton of details on everything on here that I know of just yet, but this is our little teaser of what that model looks like. So definitely going to have a lot more armaments on it. Boom, 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 boom. Little bit, and even a little turrets on there. It's got one on its back. So definitely going to be more of a heavier shooting model than the other Imperial Knights, even though they definitely bring quite the shooting to the table. But on to the community news. We've got the new combat roster. Thank God. I don't remember if you remember Sotek, but I think it's around 6th edition of Warhammer 40,000. They tried to release a army roster for basically the orders of, just say Xenos and Imperium and Chaos. All had their own disc. It was an actual DVD you could buy in the store, and it was an army roster, an army builder program. Well, with Warhammer 40,000 combat roster, it's going to be a free 40k army builder, just in the same vein that we have one for Age of Sigmar's free War Scroll builder, or
yes, it's you can find it on Games Workshop's website. It's essentially a War Scroll builder, and hopefully the combat roster will be just as good, because the Age of Sigmar one is very nice and is very well designed.
And I guess the big confusion right now is this going to be points based, or is it going to be power levels based? Because as we know in Warhammer 40,000 right now, you can choose between power levels, which is basically the maxed out version of a unit, or points, individual points, which is the itemized cost of a specific unit. So for example, a unit of, I think it's scout snipers, or a scouts is like 4 power level if you take them as snipers, or you can itemize each individual thing to get a points value. So it's a way to kind of play the game on an equal footing without having to worry too much about points. But I guess another big thing here is Warhammer Legends, which is going to be a new website that's going to be attached to the older units that people use in the Age of Sigmar. And so pretty much all those units will get new rules and everything like that. So the first step, I guess, is the Dark Elves. So we're going to see some new Dark Elf, not new Dark Elf models, but the ability to bring Dark Elf models.
Yeah, they're bringing back all the old characters. Basically anything that was a character model is going to get brought back. Even the really old character model.
Like Khorne Darkhand?
Yeah, like Khorne Darkhand, and they showed off Morthy, and I'll put it this way, they showed off models I did not recognize.
Man, the old Warhammer Fantasy Dark Elf models are so beautiful.
Yeah, the only note is that if you play Age of Sigmar, you can't take these guys in matched games. They're only for fun or narrative. You can't use them in match play, which is like tournament games.
Good to know. That's very good to know, because I did not know that at all. But we'll move over to maybe one of the most important things of this reveal. The meme is over. Plastic Sisters of Battle are coming in 2019. So we do have to wait a whole year to get our 2019 Sisters of Battle, but they are finally coming.
What's the subreddit going to whine about now?
I don't know. It's probably going to be Sanguinius's return as a Primarch. They're going to
yeah, there you go.
That's a big thing right now. Like, hey, what do you guys think about Sanguinius returning? I'm like, well, he's dead, but if he returned, I wouldn't be too surprised, and I'd be awesomely stoked about it. But we've also got some other stuff that are coming to 8th edition, like our lovely new Primaris model here holding his helmet, which is exciting to me because I really like the Primaris range. I think the kind of true scale Marine is really cool, but there's not a lot of diversity. I think every single Primaris model is, for the most part, very flat and boring. So it's great to see this model. I mean, I think the only other model that I think is overly cool is the Dark Angel's Lieutenant, because he's wearing a robe. So this model at least has got the Ultramarines kind of leather tassels coming around from the belt. So it's a little bit more variety going for it. So hopefully there'll be some modifications we can do to it to make it true to whatever chapter you're using. But it'll be kind of exciting to see some of those things coming. But we do know, another thing I forgot to mention is this knight, its name is going to be Castellian. So that'll be an exciting little trip down New Knight Lane, I guess you could say. But I guess that kind of really concludes things that I know of. I think there's a new Shadespire board that's planned, but nothing that we've really seen just yet. We're getting some new 40k stuff as far as Codex is released, and plans for that for the end of the year. And I think during that, they did the new Deepkin video, which is Techless talking the entire video, which is really cool.
Yeah, you should put that in here. It's a good video.
Yeah, I'll put that at the end of this video so you guys can just kind of see it real quick. And one of the last things that we do know is that the Chaos Marines are slated for an update here that's going to come before the Sisters of Battle in 2019. But Games Workshop was very hush-hush on anything about Abaddon, Leman Russ, or Fulgrim, because I know that was one of the things we talked about in our last video. But that pretty much concludes our video for here today, guys. Is there anything that you heard about in the past day, Sotek, that I glossed over or didn't mention?
The only thing I've heard is that if you're an Age of Sigmar-focused person, there's supposed to be a new Death faction coming soon.
Oof. More goodies. I can't wait till this gets fleshed out more, and it kind of just becomes like 9th edition Warhammer Fantasy, and people can finally like come back to the world and feel okay about it. Like,
please be Tomb Kings. Please be Tomb Kings.
People can like walk into it like a house that was burned down. Like, okay, all right, so everything's okay. But that concludes our video for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you're looking forward to more Warhammer 40,000 and Age of Sigmar news, we'll continue to have that on the channel as things progress. And a big thanks to Lore Master of Sotek. If you do like lore videos or anything of the sort, his channel is chock full of them. We'll have a link to his channel in the comments below, so go ahead and swoop on over there. But thanks for joining us today, Sotek.
No problem.
Alrighty, guys. Have a good one and take care.
Bye.